Today we're going to be talking about various updates and improvements to DisplayPort 2.1 and carry out a load of testing using a modern DP 2.1 capable graphics card and various DP 2.1 capable monitors that have been launched. We'll look at the benefits of using DP 2.1, including how you can get some of those benefits even if you've got an older DP 1.4 monitor. You can open up access to some missing capabilities even on those older monitors. We'll also provide various updates on improvements to DP 2.1 graphics cards and cables, plenty of news and updates to share with you today so that you can consider whether DP 2.1 is going to be important to you for your next display purchase. We'll make an assumption here that you're familiar with what DP 2.1 is, what it offers, and the various bandwidth tiers available. If you're unfamiliar with any of that and you also want to know more about the various challenges with adoption and certification for DP 2.1, check out our video link below. I'll apologise here for the repeated use of the term DP 2.1 and DP 1.4. You're going to get sick of it. Apologies for that in advance. To make all of this possible, MSI kindly sent us out 3 of their QD OLED monitors, 2 of which have got DP 2.1 and support the full 80 gigabits per second bandwidth and UHBR20 speeds. They also sent us a 32-inch OLED monitor with DP 1.4 so that we can test that alongside. There's the 27-inch 4K MPG272URX QD OLED monitor which we reviewed recently, as well as the 32-inch MPG322URX, which is an update to their very popular MPG321URX monitor that we reviewed last year, now just adding DP 2.1 connectivity. If you've got a DP 2.1 graphics card and want a display that features this connection as well, these 2 are excellent options in the MSI OLED range. There's also the MPG321URXW, which is the same screen as the 321URX, just a white finish version, which is pretty unique nowadays and looks very nice. It even comes with all white cables and accessories too. This model still has DP 1.4, but the reason for including the screens will become clearer later. Make sure you stick around to hear about how you can get some of the DP 2.1 benefits on your DP 1.4 monitor. So we've got 2 MSI QD OLED monitors which have DP 2.1, UHBR20 connections and one with the older DP 1.4 connection and DSC. Let's talk about cabling quickly now. So back in December last year we talked about the problems with DP 2.1 cables, and at the time if you needed a cable to support the full UHBR20 80 gigabits per second speeds, the vast majority of cables you could buy were only 1 meter in length, a few reaching up to 1.2 meters maximum if you were lucky. If you bought any of the new OLED monitors that support this top tier UHBR20 bandwidth, then you'll find that the provided cable in the box usually measures only 1 meter. This isn't very long and it doesn't give you much choice in where you position your PC case and your monitor, and they need to be quite close to one another for it to reach. This was a big restriction in the early days of DP 2.1 adoption, but thankfully the situation has improved quite a lot in the last 6 months, with plenty of UHBR20 certified cables available now which are longer than this, commonly 1.5 or 1.8 meters. The maximum now available from a passive DP 2.1 UHBR20 cable is 2 meters in fact, and you can find a few options listed on the VESA certified cable database now. Silkland were one of the first to launch a certified 2 meter long cable, and theirs was the first available on Amazon too. They've kindly sent us their S1334 cable and sponsored this video so that we can showcase the cable and use it in all of our testing. If you've got a new DP 2.1 graphics card and a compatible monitor, but you need something longer than the short cable provided by the monitor manufacturer, you can find a link to buy the Silkland 2 meter DisplayPort 2.1 UHBR20 cable in the description below. The cable itself has gold-plated connectors, an aluminium shell and durable nylon braided cable, so it looks smart and it should last a long time and be very durable. At 2 meters in length, it should be long enough for most people, and so with these cables now readily available, the DP 2.1 cable problem seems to be resolved thankfully. If you don't have a proper DP 2.1 cable or use an older DP 1.4 cable, you'll find that you're limited to the settings that you can select, or you may not get a signal at all in some situations. Make sure that you buy a proper DP 2.1 cable as listed on the DisplayPort database for the bandwidth tier that you have and need, and the capable graphics card and monitor that you want. If either your graphics card or your monitor is DP 1.4, then you only need to use an older DP 1.4 cable. There's no need or benefit in having a DP 2.1 cable unless both ends of the link are DP 2.1. MSI also sent us their new GeForce RTX 5090 graphics card for our testing today, which is part of the NVIDIA RTX 50 series that finally added DP 2.1 connectivity when it was launched earlier this year. All of the RTX 50 series graphics cards have DP 2.1 now, with the full UHBR20 bandwidth, whereas all previous Nvidia cards only featured DP 1.4 at the most. There have been various issues and complaints about monitors that rely on DP 1.4 and DSC, and we'll try and look at those a bit here. To power many modern monitor specs like 4K 240Hz for instance, monitors and graphics cards with DP 1.4 connections use a compression feature called DSC or display stream compression. While this is a compressed video signal, it does provide a visually lossless compression, and so you shouldn't see any visual difference between monitors which use DSC and ones that don't. In all of our testing of modern high-end monitors, we've never seen any visual issues here with those that use DSC. However, for DP 1.4 connections where DSC is used, it sometimes causes issues and restrictions to certain settings and features. Firstly, you will normally find that the ability to create custom resolutions from the Nvidia control panel is grayed out. And perhaps more importantly for some people, you normally lose access to Nvidia DSR and DLDSR resolution upscaling technologies that can help improve image detail in games. This isn't always the case, as it's linked to the single display head limit of the previous gen Nvidia graphics cards, not specifically to the use of DSC. For many of these high-end monitors, multiple display heads were combined to power the configuration, and that resulted in the loss of various features. It does vary sometimes between different monitors, but most of the time what we've found from our testing is that these features are not available when using DP 1.4 and DSC, and it's a reasonable rule of thumb to use for ease here. Disabling DSC from the on-screen menu on some monitors gives you access to these features, but only at a significantly lower resolution and refresh rate combination and reduced colour levels unfortunately, which hardly seems worth it in our opinion. If you buy a DP 2.1 monitor but still have a 1.4 graphics card, nothing changes. The graphics card output is still your bottleneck there. If on the other hand you have a DP 2.1 end-to-end connection with the necessary UHBR bandwidth, it will allow you to power these modern specs without DSC being used or needed at all, which would avoid any compression altogether and provide an uncompressed video signal. That gives you full access to custom resolutions and those features like DSR and DLDSR. Interestingly, and quite surprisingly, you can actually open up access to these missing features on older DP 1.4 monitors where previously they were not accessible. If you upgrade your GPU to a GeForce RTX 50 series, then these features become available even on those older connected monitors. Nvidia have doubled the maximum pixel rate of the display head now, so more monitor configurations can fit within a single display head. That in turn allows support for these previously missing features. For instance, here on the MPG 321URXW, which only has a DP 1.4 connection, you can see that when it's connected to an RTX 50 series card with DP 2.1, these features are now available. We checked this on various top-end spec monitors with DP 1.4 connections and found the same on all of them. You don't have to have a DP 2.1 monitor to get access to these features. They're available thanks to that extra power of the RTX 50 cards. One complaint often made about monitors which use DP 1.4 and DSC is that it can be slow to Alt-Tab out of games when running it in exclusive full-screen mode, often leading to black screens for several seconds or sometimes longer. This can also impact things like enabling HDR or changing some monitor settings like turning VRR on and off for instance. This issue does seem to impact Nvidia cards more than AMD, and like the availability of those DSR and DLDSR features, it's not specifically related to the use of DSC per se, it's related to the single head limit of the GPU and how top-end monitor specs are handled. We gathered lots of feedback from Reddit to understand the latest on the situation, so thank you to everyone who provided input there. Here's a summary of what we found then. Firstly, the issue seems to be quite mixed, especially on older DP 1.4 graphics cards and monitors. Secondly, a Windows 11 24H2 update last year was designed to help fix the issue and seems to have helped in some situations, although opinions are still varied. Make sure you're on the latest Windows 11 version build anyway, that's certainly worth doing. Thirdly, many users reported that when they upgraded their GPU to a new RTX 50 series card, their issues improved or went away. Fourthly, if you have a DP 2.1 monitor and graphics card combination and can run with a DSC-free image, that seems to resolve the issues as well. This is another reason perhaps to consider a full DP 2.1 system. For a lot of people who still have problems, including those on DP 1.4 systems, playing in windowed borderless mode seems to largely fix the issue too, instead of running in full screen exclusive mode. This one is a bit tricky to give a definitive view, as there's a lot of different system combinations and a lot of different games and applications to consider, but it does seem from user feedback that upgrading to an RTX 50 can improve things, even on DP 1.4 monitors. Bypassing DSC completely by using a DP 2.1 monitor and graphics card combination also seems to commonly fix the issue. Either way, there's a good reason to adopt DP 2.1 if you find this problematic. So to summarise, if you have a top-end DP 1.4 monitor and a DP 1.4 graphics card where DSC is required, you're normally going to be missing a lot of these popular NVIDIA features, and you may experience bugs like slow alt-tabbing or long black screens when coming out of games or changing settings. If you keep the same DP 1.4 monitor but update to a new RTX 50 graphics card, you can open up access to those features and improve the user experience, even though DSC is still being used. So that's a great benefit straight away without needing to replace your monitor. If you want a completely uncompressed video signal and want to avoid DSC usage altogether, you can now buy plenty of DP 2.1 graphics cards and monitors to allow just that. Just make sure that you take note of the UHBR20 speeds. Look out for manufacturers like MSI who are transparent about the specs used and provide top-end UHBR20 support. Also ensure that you buy yourself a new DP 2.1 certified cable, like the new 2-meter long cables offered from Silkland. Those are linked below in the description. Hopefully that's been an interesting update on all things DisplayPort 2.1. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a quick like and subscribe below. That would be really appreciated. And if you'd like to help support the content that we produce at TFT Central, you can find links to our Patreon below, where you can also get various benefits like early access to new reviews and articles. Let us know in the comments section below if you've upgraded to DP 2.1, either for a graphics card or monitor, and what your experience has been. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.